All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the high-stakes world of mergers and acquisitions, or as you'll always hear it, M&A. This is a world of massive deals, huge corporate strategy, and yeah, those billion-dollar handshakes that can literally reshape entire industries overnight.
You know those headlines you see all the time, right? Tech giant acquires rival or energy companies announce merger. But what's really going on behind those announcements? It's this complex dance that can be anything from a strategic partnership to an all-out corporate war.
Okay, so first things first. To really get what M&A is all about, you gotta understand the two key players here, the merger and the acquisition. They sound kind of the same, but trust me, they're worlds apart.
So here's the easiest way to think about it. A merger? That's like a marriage of equals. Two companies decide to team up and create a brand new, bigger company together. But an acquisition? That's a straight-up buyout. One company just buys the other one, and the target company gets absorbed into the bigger fish.
And this is where it gets juicy, because acquisitions can go one of two ways. You've got your friendly takeover, where the company being bought is totally on board. It's a willing partnership. But then you have the hostile takeover. And yeah, it's exactly as dramatic as it sounds. The target company says, no way, and the buyer has to go over their heads straight to the shareholders to try and force the deal through.
Which leads to the billion-dollar question, right? Literally, why on earth do companies spend these insane amounts of money? We're talking billions, sometimes hundreds of billions, to buy each other up. What's the end game?
Well, it usually boils down to one of a few big reasons. You've got your strategic plays, your speculative gambles, and then, sometimes it's just a desperate move when a company's management has failed and it's on the brink of collapse.
So let's talk strategy. This is all about the long game. Maybe a company wants to bust into a new market or get its hands on some cool new tech that a rival has. Or hey, maybe all your competitors are getting bigger, so you've got to make a defensive move just to keep up. It's like a high-stakes chess match for market dominance. And then you've got the total opposite, the speculative move. This isn't about building something for the long haul. Nope. Here, the company being bought is treated more like a piece of real estate to be flipped. The plan? Buy it, chop it up into valuable pieces, and sell them off for a quick profit. It's pure financial engineering.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's talk about the how. These deals aren't all the same. They basically come in three main flavors, each with a totally different blueprint.
First up, horizontal integration. This one's super simple to grasp. It's when a company buys its direct competitor, a car company buying another car company. The goal is pretty obvious, right? Get bigger, eliminate some of the competition, and become way more powerful in your industry.
Next, there's vertical integration. This is all about controlling your own destiny, basically. Instead of buying a competitor, you buy a company up or down your own supply chain. So, if you're that car maker, you could buy the company that makes your tires, or you could buy the dealerships that sell your cars. The point is to own the whole process, from the raw materials all the way to the customer.
And the last flavor is conglomeration. This is when things get kind of weird. It's when a company starts buying up businesses in totally unrelated fields. Think of a food company buying a media company. The idea is to diversify, so if one business has a bad year, the others can pick up the slack. But man, it's really tough to be an expert in everything, right?
This whole M&A thing isn't new. Not at all. In fact, it's been happening for over a century. And what's really wild is that it comes in these massive, predictable waves, usually kicked off by some game-changing new technology or a big shift in the economy.
Just look at this pattern. Each huge leap forward triggered a frenzy of deals. First, the railroads connected the country, creating a single national market. Boom, first M&A wave. Then came the automobile, which fueled a second wave of regional expansion. Later on, diversification was all the rage, leading to that conglomerate wave. And of course, since the 90s, the internet has kicked off this massive globalization wave, turning the entire planet into one big market.
Okay, so companies have been doing this for over 100 years. They have all these smart strategies, and they're throwing billions of dollars at it. You'd think they'd have it down to a science by now, right? Well, here comes the reality check, and honestly, it's pretty shocking.
For all the big announcements and splashy headlines, study after study, including some really famous ones from the Harvard Business Review, they all point to the same conclusion. Most of these mergers and acquisitions are, to put it bluntly, failures.
I want you to really let this number hit you. We're talking 70 to 90%. That's the estimated failure rate. That means these deals don't just not do great. They actively fail to create any value for their shareholders. So for every 10 of those massive deals you read about, 7, 8, maybe even 9 of them will end up being a bad idea that actually destroys value. It's staggering.
So what's going wrong? Why such a terrible track record? Well, it almost always comes down to the messy human stuff. You get two totally different company cultures that just clash. You get CEOs who get caught up in the moment and pay way, way too much for the other company. And a lot of the time, there's just no good plan for how to actually stitch these two giant organizations together.
And really, that's the key thing to remember here. The billion-dollar handshake, signing the contract, the press conference, that's the easy part. The real work, the part where almost everyone fails, is trying to mash two completely different groups of people, cultures, and systems into one single successful company.
Which leaves us with this one big, puzzling question, doesn't it? If the failure rate is so incredibly high, if the odds are just stacked against you from the start, why is the next mega deal always right around the corner? What makes these executives so sure that this time, their deal will be the 1 in 10 that actually works? That's something to think about.